Hello everyone, my name is Oni, and today I want to talk about the new LEGO Ninjago Legend series that's going to be coming out later this year. I believe I've heard rumors that's coming out in September? I'm not sure. But there are a few sets, and I want to talk about some theories based off these sets. It may be based off of some of the shorts that we've gotten for these sets. So first, we know that we see Kai in a mech, and we see some of the battles take place, and we know that it's gonna be about the next generation of ninja after the current elemental masters, which will be the ninja we currently know and love. So we got Jin, Mira, an Oni warlord. Jin, Mira, Nate, another Oni warlord. Jin, Mira, Master. Ivo, and an Oni warrior. So, and this is an Oni general specifically. So, let's discuss and talk about this, because obviously we got some things we need to look at. So far, this is interesting. So we're getting both Kai and Nia's heads, and Jin and Mira's heads. And this is obviously they're gonna have the Dragon's Rising mask. Well, these are clearly the Dragon's Rising face prints, which will then flip over. You get this head face print, and then you get the Jin and Mira faces on separate heads. You can see the same here. And also Jin has side arm printing. That's so cool. I really want to get this figure. I don't want to spend the money on this set. I just want to get like Jin, Mira, Nate. I really like their outfits. So let's discuss these characters. So obviously they're going to be descendants of the original ninja. This is clearly a Kai's descendant. He looks so much like Kai. This is Jay and Nia, but blondes. And Jay's brunette, and Nia has black hair in the current run of the show. So I'm not sure where the blonde's coming in. Although Liber was blonde, so Jay does have some blonde genes in him. And blonde is recessive, so it could pop up in a later descendant. And Nate, I really can't see much about Nate. So first, we gotta discuss how far in the future this will be, if this is canon, and what's the story here. Those are what the theories are going to be about. So first off, how far in the future? I can't say it's going to be too much further. He looks too much like Kai to not be a direct descendant. I mean, we got scars, we got the brown eyebrows. This is too close. Like, we're basically at Kai right here. So I'm going to say maybe Kai, but I suspect he has a very close relation with Eren because of the horns on his hood. Next up, we have Jay and Nia's potential daughter. And yeah, I think this is a daughter. I am very confident in saying that this is a daughter. Looking at a close-up of Kai's face, you can even see like it looks like it could be just a separate expression. And then Nia, she's got like the same thing at the end of her eyes. And then obviously it's blonde hair. So I never see this also being a direct descendant. Nate, again, I'm only seeing this much of him. I can only see this. I can't see eyebrows really, so I have nothing to say for him. So I'd definitely say the next in line. Now, whether or not this is canon, well, it depends on what we think happened to the old ninja. And by all accounts, it kind of seems like something bad happened. Either they got taken out of the battle, or they died trying to save Ninjago. And now, do I think that will be canon? Yes and no. So first up, the reason I think that it may be canon is because we know that at least Cole, he's not making it too much longer. We know the future for Cole. We know he does not make it. He doesn't live long. And I know a lot of people, because of the cave of the first Ninjago Master where it showed you your future, a lot of people say, oh, well, that's because he becomes a ghost and disappears. But one, I think that would have shown that he would have shown back up. He was like looking at it for like a while. I'm pretty sure he would just have come back. Also, that was like a few weeks later, where everyone else was like 30, 40 years in the future, you know? They're old, they all have their master robes on. They're all chilling, but like Cole just isn't around. And also he became a human again. He can't disappear anymore, so that seems dumb. Well, at least, dumb sounds harsh. It seems unlikely. So again, I would say that Nate is probably the oldest one out of all the ninja. I feel like Cole would be the one who would start a family first and die young, which seems to be a common thing with his family, which sounds messed up, but realistically, right? Looking at the old elemental masters, not knowing how old they are, but Cole's grandfather was Penton, was the elemental master of Earth during the Serpentine Wars, which we'd have to talk about a timeline that we don't have. But every other parent, we have Jay's parents and Kai's parents showing up in the Serpentine Wars. The previous Master of Ice, the one who gives it to Zane, was in the Serpentine War. So at the very least, it can't be so long ago to where parents of the current ninja are there. Now, how long between them having kids? Well, we know that Benton didn't have a kid yet. He still had his powers. Now, depending on when the powers get actually transferred to the child, we can maybe have a conversation of if it's right when they're conceived, when they're born, or if they reach a certain age, then the power is given. We can debate that. But to me, when something's genetic, it goes down. To me, it's like the Assassin's Creed rules with memories. Desmond lived Altair's memories up until he and Maria had their first child, which was Desmond's direct ancestor, because then, at that point, Desmond did not have access to his later DNA. The only time he relived later memories was when Ezio relived his memories through the Masyaf keys, so he relived those memories through Ezio, who relived them through the keys, not through the DNA. But because he didn't have access to the DNA, he couldn't really relive any later memories naturally. Same with Edward. He didn't relive any memories after that. Same with Haytham. Same with any other character. The only reason why we do see some other memories with Connor, with Haytham and Edward, like at the museum, I think that was Haytham's memory that we saw, not Edward's. Because again, we don't have Edward's DNA at that point. He only had 2 kids. And only one of them we can confirm the DNA of. We can't confirm what the other's DNA is. And we know that that kid is not a direct descendant or ancestor to Desmond. But yeah, so determining the timeline, it's very dependent on how you feel the powers, when the powers are given, how they work. But, neither here nor there. I think that it is once someone becomes pregnant, the power goes to the child. Now, again, Kai's parents were in the war, so was Jay's mother. So it's safe to assume that for most people, for most of the Elemental Masters, not their grandparents, but their parents were in the war. But Cole's an exception. And now I don't know how old Benton was. He does seem a little bit older than the other Elemental Masters. Yeah, pulling this up, he does seem a little bit older, but then again, here you can see Ray, Maya, Benton, Dusk, Wu, and Garmadon, which obviously they're going to live a lot longer. And then Liber is right here, looking extremely young, maybe her late teens, early 20s. But we know that she, I believe, is getting married at this time, because if I look up Ninjago Season 7...
Hey, Ice, am I seeing things, or are those the guys we just beat?
Indeed they are, Lightning.
Why, yes, we are. You have already stopped us once today. But that was before we had a legion spawn from the Great Devourer.
Aw, I thought I was gonna finally go on my honeymoon. Really cute guy, too. Cliff is an actor, and when I look into his eyes...
Stop! Focus.
Okay, yeah, I'm right. It was honeymoon. So yeah, basically honeymoon, married. So again, I don't know how old. She looks very young, no cheekbones or anything. He looks very old. Benton looked extraordinarily old as well. Well, not extraordinarily, but definitely older. Like, this is definitely an older guy. I would say that Benton's maybe in his 40s here. She's in her early to mid 20s. Now, Ray and Maya look really old, but they also, I think, are using the same designs as their future counterparts. And also, Misako was alive at this time as well, and she was very young. So I'm going to say that Ray and Maya were maybe around their late 20s, early 30s. And the only reason why is because it gives us maybe like 10 or so years. So that gives them 10 or so years to have Kai and then Nia. And then that gives them about 3 more years, so that puts them in their 50s when they're taken. And also another point to my, when they get their elemental powers, they didn't have their powers to defend them from Acronix. Oh no, it was Crux. Or was it Acronix? Young Crux. Yeah, that's Acronix, so it was Crux who would threaten them. I always get them mixed up. But yeah, so they were threatened by Crux. They didn't use the powers to defend themselves because they could have easily won that fight with their powers. Clearly, Kai and Nia had to have the powers at that point. And they, again, look older, but I'd say by the time they're 50, and that gives about 10 or so years, so they're in their 60s by the time. Kai's nearly an adult to a young adult. Nia's nearly an adult to young adult as well. That allows them to come back in their early to mid 60s. So Benton, now here's the thing, we also have to consider Lilith in this. So if they're 50 at this point, they're 40 at this point. He's 40. And at some point he has to have Lilith. So I would say he has Lilith right after the war ends. But even then, that doesn't give a lot of leeway. Because I said 10 years for Kai and Nia to be born, that gives... See, this is where things get tricky, because now I have to make up when Lilith had Cole. So hold on, so let's work on his timeline first. Now I'm gonna scrap the whole thing about this. We're just gonna talk about this for now. I'm cutting the whole thing. So let's see the timeline with this. So Benton is pretty old. Again, I'm gonna say around 40. Let's say he has Lilith right after the war. 18 years later, she has Cole. Because she has to have him really early to be in line with the rest of them. Because he's, again, a grandfather, not a father or a mother. They are direct parents. He is a grandparent. She's a direct parent. So I'm going to say most of these are younger. So they have to be younger than him. Again, she's probably in her early to mid 20s from what I see. I'm going to have to go mid to late 30s. Mid 30s maybe, because then that gives us... Oh god, but then... Because they have to wait 18 years to have Kai at least. Because Kai can't be older than... Well, I guess it also goes into how old do we think the ninja are. Oh, let me open a new tab with the Ninjago wiki. Doesn't have everyone though. I want everyone. At least the original 6. What about this one? I guess only the original 4 mattered, to be honest. I guess only the OG 4 matter. Can I get pictures, please? Thank you. Yeah, I guess these 4 are the only ones that matter, so we can get them with and without their masks. This is a beautiful picture. I love this picture so much. This is a pretty cool picture too. Alright, so this one. Who do I think's older here? Obviously Zane's older because he's a robot. He was probably built before the Serpentine Wars. Now we just got these 3. I always thought Jay was a little bit younger than Kai by like a year or 2. I guess I always figured Cole would be the oldest. So I guess that means, by my logic, right? Which I'm good. I'm just going by my logic. Benton has Lilith here, right after the war ends. 18 years later, she gives birth to Cole. I don't like that. I'm gonna say 19 years because her being like a fresh adult, it just makes me uncomfy. 19 years, she gives birth to Cole. That's nearly 20 years. So if we give them the 30s, that's each are 30. That's 50 here. And a couple years later, they give birth to Kai. And then a couple years later, Nia's born, and maybe in between that time, Jay's born. Which also gives Liber about 20 years to have Jay. Because she's going on her honeymoon here. So that means they had to be born 20 years after the Serpentine War. All of them. Except for Zane. He was 19 years, he was 20 years, because then Lilith gets sick and passes away while Cole is about, I'd say 5? Around that. So Lilith dies when he's 5, roughly. Or maybe 12. Maybe she dies when he's 12. So that when he becomes 13, 14, he starts climbing mountains. Wu realizes that he's climbing mountains and maybe starts tracking him down. A year or 2 later, when he's like 16, Wu shows up and then starts training him to be a ninja. And then he slowly starts getting each ninja one by one. When it takes a few years, he meets Jay. He finds Jay. He finds Zane. Kai's the last one he finds, and Kai's like around 16. Because again, I want Kai to be a year or 2 younger than Cole. So 19 years after, around 20 to 21 years after, 22 years after, and about a couple years before the end of the war. I'm happy with that timeline. Well, actually, no. Because Benton, it doesn't matter if Benton's dead or not. That's irrelevant. I'm not a robot. No. Because the reason why it doesn't matter that Benton's dead, but it matters how Ray and Maya, because they show up in the Hands of Time. And for that, I think they should be no older than 60. So yeah. About 19 years later, Lilith is born. Lilith gives birth to Cole. She's conceived and born right after the the elemental masters fight the war. And then she and Lou very early have Cole. And then after which Ray and Maya have Kai. Then Liber and Cliff have Jay and leave him with Ed and Edna. Then Ray and Maya have Nia, and Zane's been around the whole time vibing. Okay. I think I'm okay with that. I want you guys to know, this is how my ADHD functions. I started this wanting to make a theory. Wanting to make a theory about Ninjago Legends. I ended up making a timeline. How did I get here? Oh, this could be a video on itself. That's the funniest part. It's pretty tough to theorize about where the ninja are. Oh my god. I don't want to clickbait you guys. I'm gonna give you my theories. This is not gonna be as in depth. I guess it was gonna be vague anyway. My theory is that the ninja are dead. Now, how this is happening, I think maybe there's some time shenanigans. Maybe this is how the time twins show up, or the Oni are causing temporal rifts, which is causing the Great Devourer to come back, or they use the cell to clone the Great Devourer, which is why they look very different. And then this Ultra Dragon, I think, could be maybe a bit robotic. A robotic Ultra Dragon, because in the ninja's older years, maybe they needed more technology to help out. So yeah, I would say maybe Robot Ultra Dragon. And then this is kind of... I think this is going to be the final battle, and Master Ivo is maybe a student of the ninjas. And he... But then why is he so old? I have no clue about Master Ivo. He's not... They're not... He's, maybe... Oh! Maybe he's... related to Hibernus. He looks very similar to Hibernus. They knew I was talking about Ninjago. Damn right they did. But yeah, he looks very similar to Hibernus. He could be Hibernus's... He could be Hibernus's descendant. Makes sense, especially with the white robes, if you knew that his ancestor was a Master of Ice, but he didn't get the powers. Very interesting. But anyways, those are my theories. That's my timeline for the Serpentine War. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye for now. God, I need to freaking focus better.